He separates. He's to the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Florida State. Warwick got up third down.
Winky looking Winky. Wants to throw the knockout punch to Warwick. Warwick open. Touchdown. He did a touchdown. He did catch it. Touchdown, Florida State. Oh, Peter Warwick, how'd you do that? Kermit Whitfield to the left side. A hole to the 30. Kermit Whitfield to the 30, to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, FSU. Kermit Whitfield, a 100-yard touchdown. Here's the snap. Winston rolling right. Throws the pass on the other. It's caught. It's caught. It's caught. Touchdown, FSU. Kelvin Benjamin.
We're doing it for everybody. We're doing it big all over the country, all over the world. And I'm proud. I'm proud to say I'm a Florida State Seminole.
This is the Garnet and Old podcast with your hosts, Ryan Eastman and Vince Ciccarelli.
Well, everybody, welcome to Wednesday. This is the midweek. Ryan and I are both just so pumped up about what happened this past weekend. We've got a lot of things to talk about still. And today, I know Ryan met with you guys all last night, and I decided that there's a lot of things going through the V drive right now. Going through the V drive. We need to access the V drive and start talking about some things that have been going on this week as a result of the game last weekend, and also leading up to next week. Some funny things have been going on as well. So this is Garnet and Old. No inside info, no contacts, no problem. And this week's so far been no problem, right? So let's get right down to it. If you guys have any things you want to talk about specifically, or you want to ask some questions, if you want to get involved with the show, you know how to do it. Just post some comments in the comment area. And, I'm flying solo today, so I got to be going back and forth, producing and all this other stuff. I know nobody feels bad for me, but that's how the show is going to run. So it's the V drive, which is like musings, stream of consciousness type of stuff. So I want to start out tonight with a little bit of LSU game continued. And it's, I'm going to be talking about this game for a long time. It was just a very enjoyable performance by the team eventually, right? And there's a lot of great things have come out of that. I know Ryan already, kind of brought that up with you guys. But yeah, I mean, moving up in the polls as well, the team should be. AP number 4, coaches poll number 2. If you don't pay attention to that stuff in this grand scheme of things, do these polls really matter? No, polls don't really matter until the college football playoff polls start to be released later in the season. But this is a good indicator of where writers and coaches think the team would fall. And I have no qualms with what's going on. I mean, what I saw Sunday night, especially in this second half, was a team that has the complete ability to win every game. Absolutely. Whether they do or not, again, another story. But we'll see with that. As far as some other things, going back and rewatching that game, my dog's excited. Rewatching that game, finally, there were a lot of things when you're at the stadium, especially where I was sitting in the end zone, in the plaza area. You couldn't always, get a good feel of what was going on and who was doing what. But after rewatching the game, let me tell you, Tatum Bethune's hit, and I know you've probably rewatched the replays of that. Tatum Bethune's hit on Jaden Daniels as he's deciding to pirouette through the offensive line was just a thing of beauty. It met him right at the point of attack, and put him down with authority. That is something that is a beautiful sight to see. Now, if you also know that right after that, and I was kind of worried about what was about to happen, was the ref pulled him aside, right? And we had already seen a number of, let's just say, questionable yellow flags on the field. And I thought, oh, here we go again. what really ended up happening with that was the ref was just kind of coaching him up. Tatum talked about this in an interview earlier today. I think maybe it was just saying, yeah, the ref was just telling me, hey, we're keeping a closer eye on defenders coming down on top of people on a tackle. So you didn't do anything wrong, but you just need to be careful. So there you go. There's an instance where the ref, took a common sense approach and didn't just start throwing the flags around. So I was happy to see that, but that was an impressive hit. Some other things that I noticed from the game after the rewatch are kind of all centered around physicality, the physicality of this team. Rodney Hill, in that run he had in the second half, just completely obliterates the defender, and not a a scrub, like a really good defender, just completely bowls him over with no regard to his family. Um, you know, the crowd went crazy. And again, remember, like I was saying, where I was sitting, I didn't have a good vantage point for a lot of this stuff. So it's great to be at the game. You get the whole vibe, you get the energy, you get the highs and the lows, and you get the no beer because they ran out of beer, and you get the no water because they ran out of water. But you don't get to always see the depth and the things that go on the field. Another physical thing, Jaheim Bell just dismissing the defender as he just goes into the end zone. That guy was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And Jaheim Bell, didn't care. He just, the way he struck him, it completely, pushed the guy off of his feet. So it wasn't just a kind of like a bump and you're down. I mean, the guy was launched. And again, whatever Coach Storms is doing with this team and the training, and I want to just talk about Coach Storms because they'll tell you it's a team thing. Whatever they're doing, they're doing it right. These guys are physical and they are conditioned, and they are going to come in and step in with authority if you get in their way. So that's another thing I saw. And I'm sure, the replays of the game, you've seen all these hits over and over. What about some wide receiver blocking? Johnny Wilson early in the game had a few drops, but it didn't take away from the overall game that he had. I mean, were they important in the moment? Yes. Looking back on it, they weren't necessary. I get that, and we need to make sure. And he needs to clean that up for sure. But watching him block on the 4th and 2 when Jordan rolls to his right and flips the ball out on a basically a screen out to a Philly, and you can just see in that TV copy just Johnny Wilson just pushing the guy to the bus. He basically taking him to the bus. And Johnny Wilson will always do that. Johnny Wilson, since day one, has been a blocker, and he's loved blocking. So that was fun to see. Man, I'm just so pumped about this stuff. What about Hakeem Williams on Rodney's run? Again, just totally pushes the guy and pancakes him into the sideline. What you're seeing here is a team that's willing to put whatever it is on the line for themselves, for the team, for their teammates, in order for the greater good. I don't think we're going to have to sign any promissory notes this year. And it's just a pleasurable thing to see. I'm very optimistic about. This is one of the reasons why in the first half, while I was concerned that we weren't, clicking as it were, I wasn't really concerned about the team being able to get over that. This team is confident. They play together and they communicate. And typically when you have those things and you have, the requisite talent and skill to go along with it, you're going to be in every game at the very least. And the final thing I want to mention on the physicality of the team is Josh Farmer in the post-practice interview, maybe from yesterday, maybe from today. The days kind of run together. But he talked about one of the reporters asked, it seemed like when you got up 31-14 or 31-17, whatever it was, that LSU kind of lost their will. And Josh Farmer told a quick anecdote about how the guy he was going up against, I think it was number 70, basically said, "Hey, you guys are good up front," and basically giving him kudos, giving the team kudos. I've not played football past the middle school level, but I can imagine that you don't, especially if you're a trench player, that you don't start giving out roses and accolades while the game is still going on. At that point, Josh Farmer said, "Yeah, we knew it was over at that point. You don't genuflect to that, and you don't basically give those roses till after the game is done." So that was a funny story that I thought was worth bringing up here. So again, Garnet and Old, as deep as we want to get, we want to make sure the fans are engaged. And so let me pull some comments in here real quick. Got a couple out here. Got first one from Philip Dugas. How excited are you that we scored the points we did without much of a running game? Yeah, it seemed the running game started to really happen in the second half after, said will was taken away from the LSU defenders, and also maybe some schematic changes that happened. I don't claim to be, an X's and O's guru guy, but I do pay attention to that stuff. And I did notice some changes in the way they were running some of the, or the formations that they were running out of. So how excited am I that we scored that many points? I'm super excited about it. We're not going to see that many defensive lines as good as what LSU has. And, that's, again, the end score to that game, 45-24. When you look at that score, you go, LSU is not, they're nothing. But no, they are something. They've got talent and NFL talent all over the place. So yeah, I'm not concerned about the running game at all. But I'm definitely excited. Yeah, Philip, you're right. I'm definitely excited that if the running game doesn't happen to get on track for a little bit, that we're not going to have a problem moving the ball and pushing the ball downfield and ultimately scoring the points we need to score. So thank you for that comment. We've got a comment here from Jay. You can go ahead and give Keon Coleman the Bolitnikoff already. Well, I don't know. When was the last time a Florida State receiver won the award it's named after the Florida State receiver? I think it's probably been a long, long time. If he keeps it up, I don't know who else it would go to. I mean, there are some great receivers. Marvin Harrison with Ohio State. Travis Hunter is just a phenom as well. But as you all know, with these awards, it depends on how your team does to a large degree. So, I don't see Keon Coleman stepping back. What I do see, however, is that there are going to be some other games where someone else maybe has the hot hand. So, yeah, I mean, hey, if we're throwing accolades out, let's give everybody everything. It's the first game of the season. I feel good about it. So I'm all for that for sure. Let's get back here. Let's talk about some recruiting. Let's go to the recruiting. This is next in accessing the V Drive. If you were at the game, actually, even if you weren't at the game, in the fourth quarter, I think it was, all of a sudden everybody started looking over to the, to the east, and there was a fireball just launching into the sky, and there was a rocket launch that was just it was super clear, and they also put it up on the big screen too, which made you get you some zoom on it too. It was just a really neat thing there, and I will equate that to the recruiting rocket launch that happened because of that game. There were a lot of commitments and recruits, prospects at that game. and not just your run of the mill recruits, right? Some of the biggest names that are still out there. Now, some of them are already committed to other schools, like Jeremiah Smith, who's a 5-star Ohio State wide receiver commit. He's planning on visiting for the Miami game, and then having his official visit in December. I just have a note about one of the comments he made to one of the recruiting sites, was that he was sitting right there by the band, so they had that place rocking. If you were in that stadium, you heard it on TV as well. The war chant was loud. It was obnoxious in a good way. It always in a good way to my heart, and it was all the time. It was a home game. It was a home game without, being in Doak Campbell, and the Chiefs made that happen, and kept that vibe going. So yeah, so thank you so much for the Chiefs. Like, me, folks. I'm always going to pump them up. They put in all the work, and they're top notch, and they love what they do, and they do it well. And the recruits notice it. And smart idea putting them right by the band, right? Jamari Howard's another recruit that was there, who has no leader right now. He's a 4-star cornerback, and I think he's making his decision in December, probably. And there were just a number of other ones there, and just the general vibe. Anytime you have recruits at a big time game that your team plays well, at the very least, but then also plays well and wins, man, you can't beat that. You can't beat that. And so it was a very smart idea to have the recruits, be there for that. And so the rocket launch for recruiting continues. July was a lot of fireworks. The beginning of August, some more fireworks, and maybe this game is the biggest firework of all, which is a rocket launch. So we'll see what happens from that. You never can count your chickens there, or chicken farmers can count their chickens, right? Because they're paying that kind of money to be able to count them. But we as fans can't count the chickens until the chickens sign on the dotted line. So that's the recruiting tidbit I wanted to get to. Let me see if I got any more comments in here real quick before we jump on to the next topic. It's our buddies with the York College Sports Connection. We got Nathan Bomber Brown here, Big 12 Mafia and the Holy Rivals Show. What's up, fellas? Hey, Nathan, we're so excited, right? We're so excited that the football season has started. I'm so excited, by the way, that Utah beat the Gators. Kind of thought that would happen, but thanks to our partners out west for making that a fun night. And in answer to your question, we did not move to Wednesdays. No, we're trying to get some more content out throughout the week. Our normal show is still Thursdays at 7 p.m. This is just Ryan and I be able to break up a little bit of stuff throughout the week. So that's what that's about. Here we go from Them's Got Cheese. Whenever Them's Got Cheese, it's a good day. Being next to the band, it was great. It was a great time hearing neck every time we scored. Yeah, and there was a lot of neck, and there was a lot of war chant in that game. I was totally opposite of the Chiefs. I mean, on the same side, but on the other end zone, which is much better seating than I had for the bowl game last year. I was up in the upper deck and couldn't even visually see the Chiefs. But we had a good acoustic straight line shot to hear in that group. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad you were there. Let's see what else. FJA 243. I hope they just run the ball 60% of the time and do a lot running back, tight end passing the next two games to break tendencies. After LSU teams will drop back because of the fear of the outside guys. Yeah. I mean, what you're talking about there is the beauty of having weapons at every level. So now this first game is on tape, and Keon Coleman is on tape, and Johnny Wilson is on tape. Finding a first down pretty much. If there is one to be had, he's going to find it. And so, they're going to be dropping back, which means, you're going to have, the flats more open, I believe. You're going to have the intermediate routes ready for crossers and slants. I mean, it's just, this is what I've been saying since the spring, is that the options are numerous and varied, and they can do, I would say, I'm going to say they can do whatever they want. But in terms of the options that they have options across the board, from running to throwing to you name it. So, and I think, you're going to see some more run because of the defensive lines we're going to face are not going to be able to hold up as well as the LSU line did, for sure. All right, let's moving on. Next in the listing here. Talk about a little bit of practice going on this week and Southern Miss prep. So one of the main things that came out of this past weekend is that there weren't any major injuries or significant injuries to speak of that I'm aware of. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. If this team stays healthy, the sky is the limit. And injury, can derail any team, no matter how good they are. So coming out of that game, which is a highly physical game, especially at the beginning, highly physical game. There was a lot of hard hitting in that game. It's fantastic that we come out with nothing of significance there. And then the other thing I was going to say about the Southern Miss prep is that this is a short week, right? This is a short week. The team played on Sunday, which means Monday is kind of an off day, and so it's a compressed timeline to get the team ready. And as fans, we're constantly, we think of these things a lot of times in a more shallow way. And what I mean by that is, it's just Southern Miss. Why would you have to put the time in and respect every opponent, right? Otherwise, bad things happen. Look at a few years ago, which I will not bring that up. But so the coaches obviously knew that they were going to have a compressed time frame for this game, and so I imagine they did a lot of prep work, and Mike Norvell talked about this. They did a lot of prep work for this long ago, so that when this week came about, they were able to accomplish all the things they need to accomplish within the compressed time frame. Also, remember that the Southern Miss game is a later game. It's at 8:30, I think, and so that's even more time, right? So you could say, well, does it matter whether they kick off at noon or 8:30 on a Saturday? I mean, when you're talking about a compressed week, I think it does. So hearing good things out of camp this week. The team just continually getting better. And I don't know of anything significant coming out of camp other than everybody is healthy to the degree that they should be, and that the appropriate amount of prep is being done, regardless of it being a short week. Let's go week 2 primer. Let's talk about week 2 now, and not just from a Florida State perspective. Let's talk about it from the ACC in general, and some teams that maybe we watch as fans. So a couple that stand out here to me. Let's figure out what Clemson's going to do with Charleston Southern at 2:15 p.m. on ACC Network. That Monday night game, it was shocking. I think shocking is the right word. I don't think I expected Clemson to be able to be humming along the first game of the season with pretty much a brand new quarterback and a brand new offensive coordinator. But I did not expect them to look, average across the board, where, in the past 5, 6, 7 years, they've just had better players in depth across the board compared to everybody, Florida State included. But they didn't look, they looked like an average team. And an average team that makes critical mistakes in crucial moments are going to get blown out. And they did. And, Duke looks pretty good. They're a veteran team. They're well coached. Their quarterback is building some confidence. He's very athletic. He happened to miss a homework assignment that was due by midnight. I have this in my notes to bring up. The kind of stuff makes me laugh. Remember, they're students, right? So Riley Leonard missed a homework assignment that was due by midnight Monday night, and he asked his professor for an extension. The professor said no. So, nothing like making people toe the line there when Duke probably had one of its greatest victories in the last 25, 30 years. But you're going to hold the quarterback responsible there for his homework at midnight. So good for him. UNC looked pretty good. They're playing App State. That's for my daughter. They're playing App State 5:15 p.m. on ACC Network. UNC looked really good against the Gamecocks, and so I'm keeping an eye on the teams that look to be moving into some more competitive realms, especially teams that we're going to be playing. And Duke plays Lafayette, which is Lafayette's from the area of my hometown where I was born. That would be it's going to be a pretty quick game for them. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, so let's talk about this. So the versus Texas A&M game. So we got Jimbo heading into Doak South. Jimbo would win a lot of games in Doak South, and the chances are that's probably going to happen again this weekend at 3:30 on ABC. When they played Miami of Ohio, they were going to win that game. They were going to win that game, and they did. There's no reason to not win that game. I mean, it's not like they're playing Middle Tennessee State. So they were going to win that game. I've been seeing, and I think if you're a fan, you've been seeing this too, on Twitter and social media and all these kind of things, how the Hurricane fans have been circling this game against Texas A&M for months, for a year maybe. They thought that they were going to win last year and they didn't. But this is a home game. We've got them this time. They can't even sell tickets to the game. They can't even sell tickets to the game, so much so that the athletic department is offering BOGO tickets for this game. Basically, you buy a ticket to the Texas A&M game and you get a free ticket to the Georgia Tech game. This is not, the jokes write themselves, right? We all know that has a hard time filling their stadium, half filling their stadium. And then, I know you just kind of got to bite the bullet and see if we can get the tickets sold, but it's really tough. It's tough for them. But it's really funny as a rival to see a BOGO special. Someone actually put this in the Publix flyer. So while you're picking up your BOGO Emerald Nuts or your BOGO Mission Flour tortillas, you can also pick up some BOGO tickets to the Miami game versus the Aggies this weekend. Shout out to my buddy Raj, who's a diehard fan. I got a number of fans that I'm very good friends with, and they know the flack that they get for this. So I found this to be pretty funny. So yeah, they got a BOGO thing going on. Well, we do not have a BOGO thing going on. We've got some sellouts here to talk about. And so this weekend, the game is sold out, at least from the student section perspective. It may be sold out overall. I wouldn't doubt it if it is. But we got a sellout this weekend in Doak. And then also was announced today or yesterday that the Virginia Tech game is also sold out. And so if you're looking for tickets to these games, and by the way, I hope you're going to these home games. Ride this ride. Be part of this experience with the team, with this climb, with the way that with this group of people, with this group of team members that came back for a big run here. Be part of that, and of course, come and hang out with Garnet and Old in Lot 12 for the games that we're going to be doing the tailgate with as well. And so we don't need any BOGOs in Garnet and Old. We've got some sellouts here going on for us. So we've got another comment here. Oh, this is going back to Clemson. Yeah, Philip, Dabo has to change his philosophy of staying away from the portal, but I'm good if he doesn't. Yeah, I heard some commentary today. Josh Pate, who I listened to on the Late Kick, very bright guy and very balanced. He said some things today. It was like, if you're going to take a hard stance on this and you're just not going to go in and use the portal because you don't believe in it, that's all fine and good. And if you're going to stick to your laurels and your principles because you don't believe in it, that's fine. But it's time to move aside then, right? It's time to move aside because you're not doing your program and your team the right way. And if he decides that he doesn't, and Clemson continues to hold on to him as the head coach, I'm all for that too. So, as the old part of Garnet and Old, I understand about getting set in your ways and get off my lawn and all those kind of things. But for the greater good, who moved my cheese? You got to go and do some different things when things aren't working right. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I doubt it. So let's see. We got a couple of other miscellaneous things here that just have been popping up the last few days that I wanted to hit. There is new lighting at Doak. So if you were at Camping World Stadium this past weekend, you saw some LED type Christmas light, animated Christmas light-esque, and I'm a big fan of that. That's one of my hobbies. It has that kind of feel to it, and Doak has those kind of lights now, and so just be ready for that when you go to a home game. I remember back in the day, if you want to go, old school, get off my lawn. I remember back in the day when if the lights would happen to turn off at a stadium, you were waiting a while for those lights to be able to be turned on again. And we would all sit in the dark until those lights were able to, cool off and then be able to come back on. That's not the case anymore. So there's some new lighting at Doak. I also saw some renderings. There apparently the Seminole Boosters had a meeting. They either had the meeting or they're having the meeting this week about funds for renovating Doak. And one of the things that came up in one of the renderings is a roof, or at least a substantial roof, not completely domed in, but a rendering with a roof. So I'm not saying that's happening. I'm just saying it was interesting to see what that would look like. So if you're interested to see that, you can go on Twitter, you go on Facebook, and you can see some of the renderings of what that would be like. Again, I'm not saying that's going to happen. This one I just saw before I hopped on the show here, and that is Luke Cromenhawk, who's one of our commitments for next year, quarterback commitment. Was not at the game this past weekend because of some commitments with his high school team. And what his family did instead was host a big barbecue party. There's a big party with, I don't know if 100 people showed up, but lots and lots of people to watch the game at his house. So don't worry about Luke not being at that game. He's fully bought in, and the family's fully in the fold for the climb. So don't worry about that at all. The last thing I want to talk about before we round this out, we're right at 35 minutes, is I want to talk about the war chant. The war chant. So the war chant, as we all know and love it, is not the tomahawk chop. It is it's the war chant, and it's played constantly, incessantly, and for good reason. And we all love it. If you are a Florida State fan and you do not love it, then I don't really know what's wrong with you. But the Chiefs are going to play it, and they're going to play it incessantly, and they're going to play it on defense. They play other things too. Don't get me wrong, but the war chant is what the nation knows. The director of bands at Florida State posted something on social media that talked about he was seeing a lot of comments in the social media realm about people being annoyed with the war chant, and it was quite funny to read. As a Marching Chiefs alumni, this is spot on, and it's just what's funny about it. And I have friends of mine, Gator friends, Miami friends, NC State friends, you name it. I got friends from every college team that we play or have played. They all say the same thing. It's annoying. Yes, that's exactly right. It is annoying. It's supposed to be annoying. It's supposed to get under your skin. So you complaining about it being annoying is not going to change anything. Matter of fact, it makes the Chiefs happier to play it. It warms the cockles of your heart to play it. So, of course, this social media post caught the eye of Madso, who, by the way, is just an elite organization, restaurant, Knoll fandom. They are just at an elite level when it comes to promoting Tallahassee, the Seminoles, Florida State in general, and you can include in that the Marching Chiefs. They took what was said in that social media post and made a T-shirt out of it, of course. And these T-shirts are available at madisonsocial.com/duh. And you can pick up your T-shirt there if you want to support the Chiefs. $10 of each shirt goes directly to the Chiefs. And we know, because you listen to Garnet and Old, you know that that the Chiefs are valuable, and you know that they should be at every game. And we also know that they are not going to be at every game. We brought up on this show a few weeks ago that the Chiefs are not going to be at the Clemson game, at least the last that I heard about that. And that is a tragedy and a travesty, and it's unacceptable. And we as a school and as a program and an athletic department need to get better. So if you find it in your heart to contact your local Florida State people that you think may have some clout or say or whatever, I would like to start a new hashtag here, and hopefully this will start to catch on. The Chiefs moniker, or one of the things they post all the time is Marching Chiefs all the damn time, which is MCATDT. I want to add a new one to the repertoire and call it SCATDT, which is Send Chiefs all the damn time. There's no reason to not send even a portion of the Chiefs. If you watched the Utah-Florida game, you heard music, you heard the band playing, the Florida band playing. Somehow, our rivals, somehow, our conference mates are able to find the pennies to send their band to away games. What are we doing? Send Chiefs all the damn time. If you're watching this show right now, start hashtagging that. If you don't mind, let's get people starting to look at that, and let's get the Chiefs to as many games as possible, even if it's not the whole group. The war chant is annoying. Duh. Send the Chiefs all the damn time. Final thing I want to talk about tonight, and that is this particular graphic here. Oh boy. Noles in the spotlight. Greatness is what we do. The ACC conference, ACC football. I mean, you can't write better comedy than this. They are promoting the fact that Florida State was involved in the highest rated in terms of viewership game this past week. I mean, I saw that and I was, yeah, we've been telling you this, but now here we go again. Conference coattail riding. The dollars don't equal what we bring in. Make the change. I mean, this is just comical. So I hopefully fans saw this and had the same reaction I did, which is greatness is what we do. Yes, that is what we do. No, that is what Florida State does. And that is what a couple of the other teams in the conference do. And we will continue to do that. Even when we were in our down years, we continued to do that. And now that we are, we've kind of got the ship back in the right way, we're going to be doing it even more. This weekend, I'm going to wrap this show up now. This weekend, the Southern Miss game, Ryan will be there. I will not be there. I will be at the Georgia Southern game. Georgia Southern's taking on UAB. And my wife and I are going there to enjoy being Georgia Southern fans. It's my second team. I love them. Getting to know the roster. But Ryan will be at the Florida State game. He will be in Lot 12. You want to go see him and hang out with him. He'll be there for that. And then I want to quickly remind everybody again that Garnet and Old will be at Fishweir Brewing Company on September 16th and October 28th. I'm still working to get a special surprise appearance by some alumni marching chiefs at these events. And so more information about that to come as well. And then remember, we have our weekly show tomorrow at 7 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for spending some time accessing the B Drive tonight. But I think I was able to purge the system here. And I look forward to talking to you all again tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. on Garnet and Old. No inside info, no contacts, no problem. Go Noles.